An ulcer can follow molecular death of the surface epithelium. What does that mean? So if there's any infection on the skin, that's going to cause molecular death of the tissue on the surface epithelium, right? So that's going to slough off and that's going to give you an ulcer. Also, it can be due to trauma. So if there's trauma, there's going to be breach of the epithelium and that's going to cause an ulcer. It can also be surgical. So if a patient is presenting to us with cellulitis and we have to do debridement of that, right? So we're going to remove all the dead tissue, etc. So that's going to form an ulcer there. So that is a surgically created ulcer. So now on history. When we talk about mode of onset, there are going to be certain indicators which will tell you the etiology of the ulcer. So traumatic ulcers will generally heal by themselves if the traumatic agent is removed. Okay? Next is ulcer will originate spontaneously after swellings, that is matted tuberculous lymph nodes or gamma, or rapidly bone malignant ulcer. Ulcers may arise in the leg with varicose veins or venous insufficiency. Marjolins ulcer develops in the Stargardt bone. Duration. The incubation period of an ulcer is the time interval between the exposure and the onset of the ulcer. In case of a Hunterian canker, that is in syphilis, this incubation period is 3 to 4 weeks. In canker, that is a soft sore, this period is 3 to 4 days. So, whatever history the patient is giving you, that will be indicative of the etiology. So, if the patient is saying 3 से 4 weeks से है मुझे ये ulcer, so then that can give you an indication towards syphilis. If he is only giving you immediate history that अभी अभी हुआ है and लगा है because of which there is an ulcer. So that is a traumatic ulcer which is happening because of external injury. Then pain. All ulcers that are associated with inflammation will be painful. Syphilitic and trophic ulcers resulting from nerve diseases are painless. So these ulcers are trophic ulcers are basically patients who are bedridden, etc. They will develop nerve because of nerve diseases may develop trophic ulcers. They are not going to have any pain on the ulcer. They don't even realize that they have developed an ulcer. Tuberculous ulcers are slightly painful. Other than that, ulcers from malignant diseases are painless to start with and may become painful if they infiltrate structures supplied by nerve endings. Now, coming to discharge. You have to see what the discharge is from the ulcer. If it is serous, pus, or if it's blood. If it's serious, then that usually shows us that the ulcer is not that infected. Discharge is doesn't always have to be infected. If there's any injury, there's going to be inflammation, right? So because of that inflammation, there's going to be some amount of discharge present. But to show that it is infective, there has to be presence of pus. Okay. Then next we come to associated diseases. So nerve diseases such as Staph salus, syringomyelia, transverse myelitis, and peripheral neuritis can cause trophic ulcer. Next is generalized tuberculosis. Any tubercular lymphadenopathy can eventually lead to an ulcer. Nephritis, diabetes, you must be aware that diabetic foot are very common, which causes an ulcer. And syphilis has at a primary stage, which causes a canker, and tertiary stage, which causes a gummatous ulcer. Now coming to a local examination. So on inspection, we're going to see the size and shape. According to the size and shape, that is again indicator of the type of ulcer that it is. So tuberculous ulcers will always be oval in shape. Syphilitic ulcers can be round or semi-lunar and they later become serpentinous. Varicose ulcers are vertically oval in shape and carcinomatous ulcers are irregular in shape. Number of ulcers. So conditions in which you get multiple ulcers are tuberculous ulcers, gummatous ulcers, varicose ulcers and soft cancers. Then position of the ulcer. There are certain typical positions that if you identify that this is a typical position of the ulcer, you can easily make out which is the type of the ulcer. So varicose ulcer usually occurs in the medial malleolus of the lower limb. Rodent ulcer occurs in the upper part of the face, above a line joining the angle of the mouth to the lobule of the ear. and is frequently seen near the inner canthus of the eye. Tuberculous ulcers will happen in the neck, axilla, or groin. Lupus happens in the face, fingers, or the hands. Hunterian canker and soft sores occur in the external genitalia. Gummatous ulcers will be present over subcutaneous bones, that is tibia, sternum, or spine. Trophic ulcers occur at the heel of the foot. And malignant ulcers will happen in the lips, tongue, breast, penis, and anus. So here we can see the different types of ulcers. So venous ulcer, you can see that it's at the medial malleolus of the lower limb. Lupus vulgaris, you can see that it's on the face. And here rodent ulcer, this is the late stage of the rodent ulcer. So what I was trying to tell you, the line that is from the angle of the mouth to the ear will make a line, and the ulcers are above that line. Okay, that is the rodent ulcer. And trophic ulcer, we can see here it's at the heel, resulting from nerve injury, of which the scar you can see above. Now coming to edge. So edge is very important when it comes to ulcers. Okay, so you will always be asked a question on edge during your viva. So just be clear with this. Edge and margin, you need to know how to differentiate. Okay, so your edge is going to be the space between the base of the ulcer and the external epithelium. Okay, so when it's an undermined edge, it's going to be TB. A punched out edge is a gummatous ulcer. A sloping edge is a healing, traumatic, or venous ulcer. An edge which has raised pearly white beaded edges, that is a rodent ulcer. And a rolled out edge is an epithelial. Now the floor of the ulcer is the exposed surface of the ulcer. If it has red granulation tissue, that means it's a healthy and healing ulcer. Or ulcer with a pale and smooth granulation tissue means that it's a slowly growing healing ulcer. A washed leather slough means it's a gummatous ulcer, and trophic ulcers will show bone as the floor of the ulcer. If there's a black mass in the floor, that means the malignant melanoma. Now coming to discharge, a healing ulcer will show scanty serous discharge. A spreading inflamed ulcer is going to show you purulent discharge, and greenish discharge will mean that it is infected by pseudomonas. Now we come to surrounding the tissue. Acutely inflamed ulcer is going to have glossy, red, and edematous tissue around it. Varicose ulcer is going to have eczematous and pigmented tissue around it. And tuberculous ulcer is going to have a scar or wrinkling of the skin around the ulcer. Now, wherever you have the ulcer, mostly we see most commonly ulcers happening in the lower limb. You can also have directly in the upper limb. So here we're talking about superficial ulcers that are happening on the limbs. Okay. So when we have such a case, we have to examine the entire limb, especially to look for presence of varicose veins and DVT. We can also examine to see any neurological insufficiency, which is going to indicate a trophic ulcer. Now come to palpation. So first we're going to see tenderness. So an acutely inflamed ulcer is always going to be tender. A neoplastic ulcer is never going to be tender. TB and syphilitic ulcers may be tender, may not be tender. And same with varicose. It depends on the stage at which the patient has presented to you. Now edge. So here you can see the diagram. See the floor, the base, the edge is between the margin and the floor, and the margin is between the edge and the superficial skin. Okay, so margin is the junction between normal epithelium and the ulcer. Edge is the area between the margin and the floor of the ulcer. If there's marked induration of the edge, that indicates SCC or adenocarcinoma. Base. So the base of the ulcer is on which it rests. You cannot see the base, you have to feel the base. So it is examined by picking up the ulcer between the thumb and the index finger. If there's marked induration, then that can indicate squamous cell carcinoma or Hunterian cancer. So here we see the doctor is palpating the for the base. So you have to palpate in two axes. Okay. So first you have to hold it in the longitudinal axis and then palpate. Try to move the ulcer if it's mobile or not. You have to see that, and then you go perpendicular to that axis, and then you try it again. So that is going to indicate the plane of the ulcer. If it is in the muscular plane, then you'll be able to move it. Okay, and if it is stuck to the bone, then it's not going to move at all. Depth of the ulcer, it has to be assessed in millimeters. Trophic ulcer may be as deep as to reach the bone. Bleeding, so malignant ulcer will always bleed to touch because malignancy leads to increased vascularity of that area, right? So whenever you're going to manipulate the ulcer, palpate the ulcer, it's going to bleed. That is indicator of malignancy. Relations with deeper structures, gummatous ulcer over a subcutaneous bone may be fixed to it. Malignant ulcers may be fixed to underlying structures due to invasion. Then surrounding skin, fixating to the underlying structures indicates malignant ulcer. Peripheral pulses to be checked for arterial and for ischemic ulcer. So if you're suspecting DVT or if you're suspecting any atherosclerosis because of which there's decreased blood supply to the lower limb, so and the patient has developed ulcer because of that, then you have to check the peripheral pulses. In case of ulcer due to any PVD or any you're suspecting gangrene or anything like that, unless you check the peripheral pulses, you're not going to pass in the exam. Okay? So remember, peripheral pulses is extremely important. Examination of lymph nodes. So for an acutely inflamed ulcer, there can be regional acute lymphadenitis. In TB ulcer, there are enlarged matted and slightly tender lymph nodes. In case of Hunterian cancer, there will be discrete, firm, shorty lymph nodes. And in case of gummatous ulcers, lymph nodes are not usually involved. In case of malignant ulcer, there will be stony, hard, fixed lymph nodes. Vascular insufficiency. So for this, you have to examine the leg for varicose veins. If there are no varicose veins found, examination of arterial system proximal to the ulcer is to be done. Atherosclerosis, Berger's disease, Raynaud's disease may cause ulcer due to poor circulation. Examination of nerve lesions. So, for the presence of trophic ulcer, if there is indication of any neurological disturbance, that we have to check. So, it can be due to Taves dorsalis, transverse myelitis, or peripheral neuritis. We also have to do general examination of the patient because the ulcer is only a manifestation of the disease that he already has, right? So for syphilitic ulcer, you have to look for syphilitic stigmas in the patient. For TB ulcer, you have to do examination of all lymph nodes of the body. You should also do chest examination in the patient to see if it's pulmonary TB which has disseminated and caused lymphadenitis causing an ulcer. For ischemic ulcer, you have to do examination for presence of atherosclerosis and its complications all over the body. For trophic ulcer, you have to examine for determining the type of the nervous disease. Now, coming to investigations, we do routine blood investigations, urine examination, the diabetes, etc. Bacteriological examination of the discharge. So you have to do the pus culture sensitivity of that discharge that's coming. We do a Monto's test for TB, chest X-ray again for TB. If the ulcer is looking malignant, if there are features of malignancy, then we go ahead with a biopsy for malignant ulcers. Then we should do a X-ray of the bone and the joint if the ulcer is close to the bone. Thus, we do to see if there's any osteomyelitis present. Then contrast radiography. Arteriography is used to diagnose an ischemic ulcer. Ascending functional phlebography is used to diagnose DVT. Next imaging technique, we can also do radioactive fibrinogen test using 125 iodine labeled fibrinogen that is used to detect DVT. Technetium 99 clearance is used to map blood flow in the cartridge. So now classification. First classification is clinical classification of the ulcer. So this classification will be done when you examine the patient. So first is going to be spreading ulcer. In this kind of ulcer, the surrounding skin is going to be inflamed. The floor will be covered with profuse slough. Edge is going to be inflamed, edematous and ragged. It's going to be a painful ulcer, and the draining lymph nodes are going to be inflamed, enlarged, and tender, and may be separated with abscess formation. Next is healing ulcer. The floor is going to be covered with pinkish or red healthy granulation tissue. The edge is reddish with the granulation and margin is bluish with glowing epithelium. The discharge is slight and serous. In case of chronic ulcer, the floor will be covered with pale granulation tissue. Sometimes it shows typical wash like a slough in dermatous ulcer. The discharge is scanty or absent. The base is going to be considerably indurated, and so is the skin and surrounding skin. So is the edge and surrounding skin. Next is pathological classification. So first is going to be non-specific ulcers. In that, the first example is traumatic ulcers, which can be due to mechanical, that is dental ulcer of the tongue from jagged tooth, from the pressure of a splint, etc. Or it can be physical from an electrical or X-ray burn, or it can be chemical from application of caustics. These types of ulcers heal quickly because once the traumatic insult is removed, the ulcer will automatically heal if the patient's nutrition etc. is ideal. Next is arterial ulcer. So these will occur due to atherosclerosis, Buerger's disease, and Raynaud's disease, both primary and secondary. Venous ulcers will be in case of varicose ulcer in post phlebitic limb, and neurogenic ulcers are bed sores and perforating ulcers. Now, next, if it's associated, if the patient has malnutrition, then he may develop trophic ulcers, which occur in the legs and the feet of the people in tropical countries. Um, then infection by Vincent's organism, as bacteria fusiformis, they form a small abrasion which may cause an ulcer. Then associated with other diseases, there can be various diseases which can form an ulcer, which are gout, diabetes, anemia, adenomyosis, erythrocyanosis rigida, and rheumatoid arthritis. Then specific types of ulcers. Uh, yes, is there any doubt? Somebody raised their hand. Specific types of ulcers. First is a Bazin's ulcer. Fatty is adolescent girls with an ulcer on the calves has purplish nodules followed by an ulcer. That is a Bazin's ulcer. Next is Martinez ulcer. It is a hypertensive ulcer occurs in the legs with patches of skin necrosis upper stairs. It is not associated with atherosclerosis. Specific ulcers are tuberculous ulcer, syphilitic ulcer, soft sore, actinomycosis, and Melanese ulcer. Melanese ulcer is a chronic undermining burrowing ulcer which is seen post-operatively in immunocompromised individuals. And lastly, there is malignant ulcers, which are epitheloma, Magellan's ulcer, and rodent ulcer. That's it for today. So, is there any doubt? I had actually brought a video for your